Now, government says it is unable to trace up to 99 million Ghana cedis of the plastic waste levy collected under the previous Mahama administration. Up to 400 million Ghana cedis was collected between 2014 and 2018, but 99 million of that money cannot be traced. Sanitation Minister Gov't made this revelation after the Ghana Plastic Management Association demanded their due from the said amount at a forum in Accra on Wednesday. Ebo Boche is president of the association.
We came together and then started something on an ad hoc basis. But then on the long term, we thought that we need to do something sustainably. And therefore, we levied ourselves. We just couldn't have had the power. So we went to government, went to parliament, and then there was a law, a 20% ad valorem tax on sachet water and other plastic products from 2011 to the end of 2014. That money had accrued over 44.3 million Ghana cedis. But then at a point, we felt that tax, the 20%, was on the high side. So then we went back again to make an amendment to that act, which was a 512 to Act 863. In that act, it was 10% environmental excise tax, which was splashed on all plastic products, imports. From 2015 till March 2018, that money had accrued over 680 million Ghana cedis. So if you combine the 20% ad valorem to the 10%, we are talking about over 724 million Ghana cedis. All these monies are still sitting in the consolidated fund because the legal instruments that has to be prepared to be able to set up the fund has not been set up. One of the key objectives of that fund is to use 50% of that money into recycling, and then the remaining to support organizations such as EXPA members and all other institutions and agencies involved in plastic waste management.
Now, Joseph Kofiada, the sanitation minister, said his ministry is collaborating with the finance ministry to find the missing funds and further ensure that funds collected go through the right processes.
Plastic fund, a levy that was more or less proposed as a self-imposed levy, and money has been collected over the years. Unfortunately, where the money has been collected, where it's gone to, could not be traced by our government. So now is this year that the Ministry of Finance has put mechanisms in place to make sure that if it's collected, it goes into a ring-fenced account, and we know it's meant for sanitation, whether it's the whole government of sanitation or the plastic recycling, whatever. So as of, I think, September of 2016, nearly a total of about 99 million had been collected, but we could not account for it. We didn't know where it was. The Ministry of Finance initially was not aware. And when we brought the matter up, they investigated and they could get from the deductions and what was supposed to be paid off are the ports or whatever, total about 99 million cedis, but they could not tell where exactly it was. So this year we put the mechanisms in place through the Ministry of Finance to ensure that when that money is collected, readily available for use to support sanitation.
Now, let's get a better understanding of what's going on here. Ebo Boche is president of the Ghana Plastic Management Association. He's joined me here in studio. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning.
So we're talking 2014, 2018. How much?
2011.
Okay.
All the way to 2018, March 2018.
Oh, so it's not 2014, 2018?
No, it is. The ad valorem was on 2011 to end of 2014.
Okay.
That was 20% ad valorem. Then from 2015, it was 10% EET, environmental excise tax. And so when you combine these, you're talking about 724 million Ghana cedis.
Owed who exactly?
You see, the genesis of this was when there were issues about government, public, and society about plastic waste and banned plastics. government was not ready to invest. So the corporate community, as far as plastics is concerned, we came together that let's find something from our own self to finance the monies. So that gave the bet to the 20% and then the 10%. So this is an extra levy that we as manufacturers and users of plastic products have done to get a sustainable financing resource to be able to manage plastics. But then there was supposed to be a legal instrument to set up the fund authority. That is what is missing. Till now, no government has been able to set up the authority. So all the monies are being paid into the consolidated fund.
Do we know exactly where it is now? Because now we're talking about not being able to account for that as well.
Well, you see, with the previous administration, we did chase with the Ministry of Local Government. At that time, it was Ministry of Local Government, and then Ministry of Finance up to some point. Then we even involved Ministry of Environment and Science as well. But then we would push, and we'll be told we are looking into it. Just like the Honorable Minister is saying that they are also trying to trace where the money is. As business people, we are also very careful in dealing with situations where we don't want to be inclined to be getting political. So for us, we always say that morally, no government now could make any attempt to say, I ban plastics, because we think religiously we have done our quota. We actually overdone it. So we are pleading with government. With the previous administration, we had about 5 years of this situation. We have a new administration, and we've been waiting.
So this is essentially to halt the banning of plastic.
Not necessarily. To make sure we take hold and deal with the plastic menace.
Okay.
Plastics.
How?
No, let me get some highlights of the fund. Some of the highlights is to establish plastic waste recycling fund, to provide financial support to agencies and institutions involved in plastic waste management, to provide supplementary funding to plastic waste management companies in Ghana, to support plastic waste collectors, and most essentially, to put about 50% of the money into recycling. For plastics, it doesn't degrade. It is a good material. The best you can do is to recycle. The PET bottles that we see in our waste stream today, it can be recycled 100% back to PET bottles. And the funds that we have there, we can establish over 26 recycling plants, large-scale recycling plants, that we can even recycle our plastics and get end products for export.
Okay.
So when we're saying that at least 50% of this money goes into recycling, so that we'll be able to mop up every plastic waste in the system.
Okay, let me ask you, who has contributed to this?
The 10%, specifically, it's on plastic raw materials and products. Plastic raw materials and products.
Okay, so is the consumer paying a bit of that?
Well, up to a point, we pass on. You know, initially the law was a kind of a polluter pay principle. So the polluter indirectly is charged, because we will pass on these 10% to consumer. So, like we said, it was self-financing, or it's supposed to be self-financing. So this is how I would put it.
Okay. So now there's no fund.
There should be fund, because we as importers, manufacturers, we have receipts that we've paid these monies.
Okay. Except that what we are supposed to use the monies for, it hasn't reflected.
Exactly.
Okay. But why have you waited? Because you said 2011. Why are we hearing of this now?
As I said, with the previous administration, we did a lot of chase up with the Ministry of Local Government, and then Ministry of Science and Technology, and to some extent, Ministry of Finance. We did a periodic follow-up with it, but we are always told that we shall get back to you. We are looking into it and we shall get back to you. But the bottom line is that it is supposed to be under a fund authority. Without that authority, there is no way the monies can be disbursed.
Okay, so now there's no regulation that is even setting up this fund.
To the best of our knowledge, we do not have any legal instruments setting up this.
Okay.
And this is what
have you followed up even with Parliament, because that's where the laws are made?
Not really, because we've not been advised by any ministry to do so.
Okay.
Because all our petitions to the ministries have been well accepted, and they had promised that they were going to look into it and make sure the fund is set up.
Which of the ministries?
Local government. But now we are dealing with the sanitation. We've had series of meetings with the Honorable Minister. He's giving us very good assurances. But how far it will go, we do not know.
Okay. Any new timelines that you're working with now in tracing? So what's your main objective now? You're tracing the money, or you are interested in seeing the fund being set up? We're
interested in seeing the fund set up. We might not even be too much bothered about what is gone, because from our own information we gather, those monies are not there. We do not have any proof. So we're not too much bothered about trying to go for the 724 million. See,
that's a lot of money.
That's a hell of money. See, presently today, at least every month, that fund should accrue over 20 million a month. So getting 20 million a month, we should be, and for plastics alone, when we talk about in our waste stream, the plastic makes up maximum 14%. It should be able to deal with plastic waste. Beyond that, probably even to take care of other waste as well. So we just need the fund to be set up as soon as possible.
In the absence of that, how are we managing plastics?
Oh, on our own, we've gone beyond that. See, we've employed a technology in our processing. There again, the government is not being fair to us, because we have what we call oxo-biodegradable additives. These chemicals, when you add in the production line, it will help to degrade the plastic after use. You probably have 1 month to 90 days, it will degrade. The end product will be water. Now, plastic producers, manufacturers in Ghana, we are complying, because EPA is monitoring us. So we use these chemicals to make sure we are compliant. But currently, about 65% of what we use, the black carry bags and the sheets and the films, about 65% of what we use in Ghana is imported. And these are not OxoBio compliant. Therefore, at the end of the day, you use the plastic and it will just go out lying there, and will probably take million years before it would degrade. So again, we've also appealed to government that, see, we are complying, we are applying the appropriate technology in our production. But what is coming in as imports, it is not being
So what's your call? We should stop what is coming in?
We are not asking that it should be stopped. What we're saying is that government should enforce, because EPA has the instruments, the machines to do the testing. There's one at the harbor, Tema Harbor, and then their premises. They come to our factories, pick samples, and then go and do tests. But then those which are imported are not tested, which we think it is not.
If we stopped, I know that's not what you're calling for ultimately, but if we were to stop what was coming in, could we meet the supply?
We are already.
Could we meet the demand?
We should. We should, because most of our members are under capacity in terms of production. 2 companies or 2 members of plastic manufacturers have relocated to Ivory Coast, because there is no fair ground when it comes to things like the OxoBio and imports vis-a-vis. So we should have the
why is it better in Ivory Coast?
The laws are working there. If there is a regulation that you cannot import plastic bags or films and sheets without OXO, you dare not, you cannot. And the electricity tariffs is also, it favors industry. You know, with the plastic industry, the machines number one. We could be the number two in terms of electricity consumption. Plastic manufacturing. So we think government generally has to be fair when it comes to setting up the fund. Government has to be fair when it comes to enforcing the laws on OXO. Otherwise, we are defeating the essence of whatever we're trying to do. And then at the end of the day, government and the population would tag plastic as a bad product for it to be able to hang. We say that banning plastics is not a way to go. America, it's about 325 million in terms of population. We are just about 29. America is able to manage its plastic waste. Why can't we?
But you know our history.
It doesn't still give us the right to do as it is. Just a few days ago on the news, Costa Coffee in USA is saying that they want to recycle, by year 2020, they want to recycle their disposal cups 100%. This is where we should be looking at. See, today, the cost of the flexible materials and then the rigid materials, it's too much wide. You would see that in recent times, there's a mass switch from glass bottle to PET bottles. Either to the alcoholic beverages were being packed in glass. Now today, everything is in PET bottles.
Is that better?
Economically, it is. Because half the price, in fact, water packed in bottle is cheaper. In terms of packaging, it is cheaper than flexibles or the sachet. The sachet is about 80% diesel fuel, as in the structure.
Okay.
The PET bottle is about 30% diesel fuel in structure. We have machines or plants that can recycle both into diesel.
In Ghana?
Well, we have a private company from Germany who is setting up.
So you see, essentially, that has been our problem.
As in?
We don't have the means of turning these products around.
It costs about 27 million to set up that recycling plant on a large scale. We have over 700 million sitting elsewhere. When you talk about the flexible recycling, that one you're probably talking about 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 Ghana cedis, and you have a good cottage industry running. So these funds were supposed to be for this. If these funds are released, I bet you.
Do you have a role to play in managing, this fund?
Yes, we are supposed to be key board members because these are our monies. Primarily, these are our monies, and we have the technical know-how and would have advised. Of course, we're not going to use it for ourselves. We could have been to go. This could have just go for the one district, one factory stuff. So we're supposed to be key members as far as this fund is concerned.
So would you say that the introduction of this levy has helped in any way? Really, we haven't used it for anything.
It is not helped.
So it's been useless.
It's actually, well, I might not agree with you, useless, but it's been negative. I would say negative because we have paid the money. It has actually made our production costs a little bit higher. We would have passed it on to consumer. Consumer had paid.
No, is it you would have passed it or you have passed it?
We have passed it on to consumer.
So we've all contributed to this.
We have all contributed to it. And it's not being used.
And we don't even know if these monies have been invested because we don't even know where the monies are.
But the money cannot be invested because the fund authority is not being set up. Government can borrow the money.
But now you don't know. You don't know if that's what has happened.
Somewhere in November 2015, we had a conference with a senior tax officer from Ministry of Finance, and unofficially he acknowledged that the money is being borrowed by government. That was in 2015.
Borrowed for what? Did you ask?
Well, we were not probably interested in asking that.
Okay. So let's look at the way forward. What's the plan? What's the next level?
We are really pushing government. We are asking government. We're not saying that government currently is responsible for all these mess.
What about government is government, irrespective if you're new or old?
Because we think that 5 years of the previous administration was way good enough to have been able to set up this. We do not know what legal framework at all, what time frame at all that government needs to be able to put together to set up the authority. We do not know. If it's not possible with government and that the private sector will be able to get involved, we will oblige. We will be happy to do that because though we might be paying our taxes and what have you, we still think that there's so much that we can do for Mother Ghana.
Do you still pay the levy?
Yes. Yes. We are. And actually,
so where's it going?
Consolidated fund.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to leave our conversation here.
But we want to plead to government that they should, as a matter of fact, make sure that by close of this month, would have been very happy that we get this fund set up, because we have few weeks ahead, and from all indications, this year is going to be heavy rains. We do not want a situation where the population, the society, will tag plastic as a bad product because after flooding, you see plastics floating. We plead with government. We have Busak. Busak has been very instrumental with us because Busak and USAID and the Danida, they've all been concerned. They've shown so much concern that these monies are there and what government has to do is not done. We plead with government, please. We will not want to take to the streets to demonstrate.
Is that an option?
It is an option.
What's your number? How many of the members do you have?
We are about 89.
89.
89.
Okay.
We could do demonstration, but we think it will not be in the best interest.
You could equally go to court.
That is what we intend to do. When government will make any attempt to ban plastics, we have no option to go straight to court. Okay,
we'll leave it here. We'll keep following on this issue.
Thank you.
Boche, President of the Ghana Plastics Management Association. You're watching Manufacturers Association. Thank you very much. You're watching Joy News Desk.